Doesn't go today. He's out, of course, because of the doctor's orders. He was second on that occasion. Johansson third, followed by Berger, Boutsen and our own Nigel Mansell. Now, in practice, Ayrton Senna has got pole position for the third consecutive occasion. It's his 16th time in that position. Mansell is second fastest, and by the way, it's the 16th time he's been on the front row as well. But Prost, as ever, rather handily placed. So, who can win today? Well, let's join our commentators in Italy, James Hunt and Murray Walker.
You look at the completion of the second parade lap, because after the first parade lap for the San-Marino Grand-Pri, when they lined up on the start, a number of drivers stopped their engines and the start was aborted before it even happened. So now here is Senna in the first car with active suspension in the history of Grand Prix racing to be in pole position, leading up the grid, with Nigel Mansell forming up behind him, Prost in third place and Theo Fabi in fourth position. And non-starters are Nelson Piquet after his Friday crash, Rene Arnoux with suspension problems in the warm-up this morning, and Satoru Nakajima, the Japanese driver of the second Lotus Honda, who failed to get going for the first parade lap. And the race is now going to be over 59 laps, and the fuel consumption problem is going to be even greater. A good, clean, fighting start, and it is Senna leading Mansell, followed by Prost and the two Ferraris, with Alboreto just nosing ahead of his teammate Gerhard Berger. Senna, Mansell, Prost, as they come up towards the 200 miles an hour stretch, which leads to the Rettifilio and then to the second gear, 95 miles an hour left-hander at Tosa, just before which Nelson Piquet went off in his crash. And it's Senna, followed by Mansell. Prost is third, Alboreto is fourth, Gerhard Berger in the Ferrari is in fifth position. They stream round now, and up from the Tosa, it is an uphill section towards the Piratella, then down to the Acqua Minerale, which is where they are now. Now they go up through third, fourth and fifth gears, all of them through the Acqua Minerale, and Mansell is crowding all over Ayrton Senna's gearbox, trying to hassle him for the lead on the first out of 59 laps, as you see Boutsen followed by Rundle.
Yes, Mansell will be very keen to get past Senna early in the race. Senna was not very happy with his car in race trim today. I think they're still, of course, in relatively early stages of development of this active suspension system that they've got. And Mansell will be keen to get past him and use Senna as maybe a little bit of a hold-up, a buffer for Prost. This is where Mansell will be looking to do it, to get a slipstream, and Nigel may well have hit his boots button there, and through he goes to take the lead.
But don't get too het up about it. This is a long race, and the drivers will be watching their fuel consumption counters just as much as they will be watching their rev counters and everything else. And Ayrton Senna, I can tell you now that the race has started, is planning to go quite a long time before his tyre stop, and he might not even come in until round about the 40th lap. That is assuming that he is in the lead with a cushion. And so it is Mansell, Senna, Prost, Alboreto, and then Berger.
Yes, they have quite a big window on when they can make their tyre stop today, because the tyres are pretty durable. Basically, any time between laps 20 and 40, it can be done. McLaren, for example, are going to watch what the others do and make their decision, play it by ear as they go along.
What is surprising me at this stage of the race is that Riccardo Patrese, that you see in the background there in sixth position, is ahead of Theo Fabi in the Benetton, who started fourth on the grid and went so well in the warm-up by completing the lap. Nigel Mansell leads across the line, sixth in Brazil, second in the World Championship of 1986, desperately looking for points to gap between himself in particular and his teammate, Nelson Piquet, who finished second in Brazil. So Mansell, Senna, Prost third, then Alboreto fourth, Berger fifth, there's Patrese in sixth position, followed by Fabi, then Johansson, and Capelli. Well, he's coming towards us now, and Derek Warwick going well in the arrows in, I look to me like 8th position. Derek Warwick in the arrows with the upright BMW engine, and Mansell now setting out to build a cushion, and Nakajima has joined the race. Satoru Nakajima, in the second of the two yellow Lotus Hondas, has joined the San-Marino Grand-Prix as the rest of them are circulating on their third lap, and Warwick is doing well. Now there is the lead. There goes Mansell, Senna, Prost, Alboreto, Berger. That's Patrese in 6th position. There is Fabi, who is 7th, Johansson 8th, and Derek Warwick in 9th position. Through the Traguardo to complete the third lap. Supremely confident now. He has won 7 Grand Prix in his experience, knows he can win more, wants to be world champion.
Williams, of course, still sparking a lot on the titanium skid plates that they put on underneath the car. It's, of course, essential aerodynamically to run the car as close to the ground as possible. That helps the downforce, but of course with the full fuel load means the car is rubbing its tummy on the ground a fair bit. But as the race progresses and the fuel load lightens, then the ride height will become a little bit more stable.
Watch when you see the cars go through to see where Derek Warwick is. He's now crowding Stefan Johansson in 8th position as the leader. Nigel Mansell goes through on his 4th lap. Now you can see that Prost is closing up on Senna. Mansell's pulling away. The two Ferraris are together. There's Patrese, who is 6th. In the background, Fabi, who is 7th. Mansell certainly building up a cushion. He'll have to be watching his fuel counter very carefully, but the Honda engine is extremely fuel efficient. It's probably the best of the turbo engines. There's Nelson Piquet doing a bit of commentating in the top left corner of your screen. Probably ruining, I'm sure, the fact that he's not in the race, and a bit worried about the fact that his teammate is leading. Senna second, Prost third, then Alboreto and Berger. 6th place is Patrese, 7th is Fabi, 8th is Johansson. Warwick has dropped back in 9th and has got Thierry Boutsen right behind him in 10th position, and Prost goes through to take Senna. This is highly significant. When Prost won in Brazil, in the new McLaren MP4 Oblique 3, it was the first serious driving he had done in it. He said it wasn't nearly as good as it was going to be. It is much better at Imola than it was in Brazil. And don't forget that Prost has won this race for the last 3 years, although only 2 of them were allowed to count. And he loves the Imola circuit, as he might well do. We've got a good race for 2nd, Prost, 3rd, Senna, 4th, Alboreto, 5th, Berger. There are the 2 Ferraris. And the pressure is really on John Barnard, the new technical director of Ferrari here in Imola. And as far as British drivers are concerned, we have Nigel Mansell in the lead. Derek Warwick is in 9th position. Martin Brundle is in 12th place. And Jonathan Palmer is down the field in about 3rd position in the 3.5 litre race. This is lap 5 out of 59. As you look at Prost now, building up a bit of a gap between himself and Senna, and Nigel Mansell is leading Prost by about 3 seconds. Senna, Alboreto, Berger. The Ferraris have got the new 90-degree V6 engine in the new Gustav Brunner designed chassis, and they're closing up on Senna.
Yes, so Mansell has successfully got himself the little cushion he wanted, by getting past Senna and gaining a bit of time while Prost had to fight his way past them. Now that Prost is clear, the gap was some 5 seconds when they started the lap that they're now on. So the Ferraris now faced with the problem of getting past Ayrton Senna, but overtaking isn't too difficult at this circuit. It requires really just being in position as they cross the start-finish line in order to get a toe down the long fast straight and carry past under braking for the second gear corner.
Jonathan Palmer, by the way, in the 3.5-litre Tyrrell is in 20th position, and leading the 3.5-litre race is Philippe Streff, who is in 18th place, and he's ahead of some of the turbos too. However, there's Senna, there is Alboreto in the Ferrari, Prost now second, and the Ferraris have got Senna in the stripes. Senna, of course, is in touch with his team, as are most of the drivers these days, certainly in the top teams by radio. I had the rare privilege yesterday during the morning practice of being plugged into the Lotus intercom system and to listen to Ayrton Senna calmly reading off the temperatures, revs and all that sort of thing of the car and commenting on its behaviour as he goes around the course at about 300 miles an hour was an incredible experience. And now Michele Alboreto, with the hopes of Italy on his shoulders, in 4th position, is pulling away from Berger, closing up on Ayrton Senna, who is 3rd, and ahead of Senna, Prost in the McLaren, leading the race, Nigel Mansell in the Williams. This is lap 7. The usual enormous crowd here. Bit of newspaper. Remember the trouble that the litter on the course caused in Brazil, with driver after driver charging in to have the litter removed from their side pods, and people mistakenly thinking that they were coming in only for tyre changes. In fact, the tyre changes in most cases were precautionary. While the driver's in to have something done, you might as well slap a new set of tyres on anyway. Now, the numbers at the bottom left, bottom of your screen mean 5 Mansell in the lead, 1 Prost second, 12 Senna third, 27 Alboreto fourth, 28 Berger fifth, and number 7 Crazy, still a fine 6th in the Brabham. So you'll know what they mean when you see them again.
And Alain Prost is starting to chip away at Nigel Mansell's lead. It's now down to 4.1 seconds. Remember when he got past Senna and the Ferrari's Alboreto is having a struggle. He doesn't seem to be able to get the slingshot past Senna on the straight, so he's going to have to think again, because he'll be keen to get past the unhappy Senna. Remember, the Senna is not as yet too happy with the active suspension car, and Prost has put up the fastest lap of the race so far and looks to be getting very much into his stride. So can Mansell respond? He'll be getting the signals that Prost has started to close slightly.
Prost's fastest lap so far of 1 minute 31.7 compares with the lap record by Nelson Piquet, 1:28.6. But of course, it's early days in the race. The turbo boost is not as high as it was last year. They are on standard Goodyear tyres, as opposed to all the different compounds they used to use last year. And it's quite amazing that the speeds are as close this year to last as they are. And it's quite amazing to me how well Riccardo Patrese is going. In 6th place, he's actually catching the Ferraris and Senna.
Yes, absolutely. I was just about to comment on that myself, Murray. The new Brabham, the team are very pleased with the car. It looks to be a big improvement on their fairly experimental low-slung car last year, which wasn't really a success, but things looking very much better. Patrese obviously reveling in a more competitive car in front of his own crowd, and Nigel Mansell has indeed responded to Prost's challenge. He has also speeded up, although Prost is still catching him a little bit. Mansell has broken the 132 barrier.
3.9 seconds now is the gap. There in the top left corner of your screen is the Ligier of Carlo Ghinzani in the pits for what looks to me, and I'm looking straight down at him now out of the window as you watch Senna and the two Ferraris, to be far more than a tyre stop. But they have done brilliantly to be here at all, the Ligiers, because they lost their Alfa Romeo engines and have had to replace them at the last moment with the new Megatron engine, which is a development of the upright BMW engine. So they've got nothing to complain about and a great deal to be very proud about. And look at Patrese.
Yes, Patrese taking advantage of the fact that Senna is holding the two Ferraris up a little bit, but Alboreto doesn't seem to sit in the part of the circuit where he needs to be right up his exhaust pipes as they come onto the straight, and the Ferrari seems a little bit slow through that last twisty section, loses ground, and so far Alboreto has not been able to get close enough to him as they come onto the long straight.
Lap 10 out of 59, race order. Nigel Mansell leads by 3.9 seconds. Alan Prost second. Now you look at the battle for third. Senna in the yellow Lotus, Alboreto and Berger in the scarlet Ferraris, fourth and fifth. And there in sixth place is Riccardo Patrese, closing up very slowly on the battle ahead of him. In seventh place is Theo Carby, eighth is Stefan Johansson, ninth is Derek Warwick, 10th is Thierry Boots, and 11th is Cheever. 12th is Martin Brundle. Jonathan Palmer is in 19th position, and Senna, Alboreto and Berger, to the delight of the vast Italian crowd, roaring them on, are holding their places, fourth and fifth.
Well, Nigel Mansell seems to have responded very well indeed to Prost's challenge. He speeded up and is now seems to, for the moment anyway, have stabilised the gap at just under 4 seconds. Now, this is where Alboreto wants to be really close to Senna, but hitherto hasn't been able to be. He's a little bit closer this lap than the last. And Senna's struggle with his car has enabled Mansell and Prost to pull, well, Prost is some 10 seconds clear of Senna, and Alboreto is closer this time, but still not close enough really to have a go. And of course, around the rest of the circuit, any overtaking manoeuvre there is really becomes pretty fraught. The braking areas are relatively short. And I should think the two Ferrari drivers will be starting to feel a bit frantic about finding a way round.
Yes, and there in the pits, one of the Minardis, it's Nannini's car, and it's getting cooler, I can tell you that. Ghinzani, into the pits comes Nakajima, as you look at Senna, Alboreto, Berger, still third, fourth, fifth. Patrese there, still sixth. The leading 3.5 litre car is Jonathan Palmer in the Tyrrell, and by the way, it is team owner and manager Ken Tyrrell's 63rd birthday today. So with his cars and drivers leading the Jim Clark Drivers' Championship in the 3.5 litre category and the Colin Chapman Constructors' Championship in that category too, it looks as though Palmer's place is a good birthday present for Ken, and Prost is fastest.
Yes, and he has got back to chipping away at the lead. I think Mansell must have made a mistake on his previous lap. It was very much slower, nearly a second slower than Prost, and Prost has got the gap now down to 2.7 seconds, but I don't suppose Mansell will be too worried as yet. Remember, it's a long race and fuel consumption is very, very high here, so the race will therefore naturally be very tactical.
The leaders, as they pass Tarquini's Osella, it looks as though he's retiring, are catching Ivan Capelli's Leighton House March with its very distinctive greeny blue colour scheme and the enormous snout over the V8 Cosworth Ford engine, 3.5 litres, to lap him. There's Nakajima, incidentally, who has been into the pits and out again. And that is Alain Prost now 2.7 seconds behind the race leader. That's the yellow Lotus of Nakajima. It's not Senna who's suddenly seemingly caught up with Prost. It's Nakajima back on the circuit, going round the left-hander and then the right-hander at the Traguarda. And there's the race leader, and it's a familiar picture now at San-Marino of the incredible 2 times official, 3 times actual race winner Alain Prost here at Imola, inching up on the race leader. Senna 3rd, Alboreto 4th, Berger 5th, Patrese in 6th position, Johansson is 7th, Harvey is 8th, Warwick is still in 9th place, Boutsen is 10th, Shiva is in 11th position, and Senna is staving off the Ferraris. There is the confirmation. You can see 16 seconds, and Alboreto goes through to take Ayrton Senna. Now we can expect to see him pull away. It's going to be the familiar story too of it's one thing catching up, it's another getting past, and once you have, you can whistle away. Look at the crowd, they love this.
Interesting to see how quickly Berger can deal with Senna. He looks to be making a more positive attack than his teammate Alboreto managed. And he's having a look there, as he'll be keen to get past him soon, with Riccardo Patrese having taken the opportunity to close right up as they slowed down. And it's interesting, I'm just looking at the lap times. We get a readout of everybody's lap time as they go round, and everybody seems to have slowed down a little. Whether there's a bit of oil gone down on the circuit, or whether the frantic pace is causing tyre problems amongst the cars. But yes, and Mansell has slowed down even more. Now, and looks like Berger has got right alongside Ayrton Senna. And in fact, Berger got in front too soon.
That was De Cesaris touring in, but Alboreto now, with Senna definitely holding up Berger, who is being caught, therefore, by Patrese in the blue and white Brabham, and allowing also Michele Alboreto to pull away. Mansell is leading Prost by 1.1 seconds, and Alboreto by 11.9 seconds. You can see that the gap between Senna 4th and Berger 5th is very little indeed, and still Patrese 6th.
Well, both Mansell and Prost have continued to slow down from their very fast and furious initial pace, and here we see a spin. Looks like De Cesaris, and that would be the reason probably for his limping in. So not an unfamiliar sight, seeing De Cesaris spinning. And that's Alboreto. Remember, that's Nakajima in front, who's well out of contention as far as the race is concerned. But Berger has dropped right back from Ayrton Senna. Alboreto just disposing of the lap Nakajima, and that is one of the times. That's Alain Prost, is it, going slowly?
Yes, it is Alain Prost stopping on this, the 15th lap of the San Marino Grand-Prix, and that considerably enhances, and the crowd gives a roar of approval, as they do in Italy, when anything adverse happens to Alain Prost. The popular Frenchman everywhere else but Italy does not go down well here, by virtue, I suspect, of the fact that he's done so well, winning for the last 3 years. And Alain Prost on lap 15 is out of the race, out of the chance of earning more World Championship points to add to the 9 he got in Brazil. Well, sometime or other, I suppose his run of success here had to finish, and this was the day it has happened. And now then, Nigel Mansell on lap 15 leads the San Marino Grand Prix. Second place, Michele Alboreto. Third place, Ayrton Senna, being challenged by fourth place man Gerhard Berger. Fifth now is Patrese, and you look again at the change in position there as Patrese goes up, and now Patrese in the Brabham BMW has really got the bit between his teeth. He is ahead of Berger. Correction then on the race order. Definitely. Nigel Mansell now on his 16th lap in the lead from Michele Alboreto second. Ayrton Senna in third position, then Patrese fourth, Berger fifth, Johansson, and look at this!
Yes, Johansson moves up past Berger. Now Berger dropped back fairly dramatically, and I think he is in some sort of trouble. So Johansson trying to take up the cudgels for the McLaren team now that Prost is out. So Mansell leads, Alboreto just under 10 seconds behind him. Senna in third place, dropping back a little bit from Alboreto, and Patrese now moving up to take up the cudgels to try to see if he can catch Ayrton Senna. He's some 5 seconds adrift at the moment.
So let's look back on what is happening. Nigel Mansell then in the lead from Michele Alboreto, with Senna in third position, Patrese in fourth place now, Gerhard Berger in fifth position with Stefan Johansson in sixth place. Seventh is Theo Fabi, eighth is Boutsen, Derek Warwick is still in ninth position, Shiva is 10th, Martin Brundle has moved up to 11th place, and Caffey in 12th position in the Osella, I suspect must be on very, very low fuel. I do not expect him to finish the race the way he is going at the moment. But the dramatic development, obviously, is the disappearance of Prost. As you look now at Gerhard Berger with Theo Fabi right up behind him, and with Johansson in front of them, you're looking at the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th places. There is Berger. Number 28, you can tell him, incidentally, of the two Ferraris. That's the gap between Nigel Mansell in the lead and Michele Alboreto in second place. And now the crowd, having willed Prost successfully out of the race, will be applying their mass hoodoo to Nigel Mansell. But the positions on lap 17 in this 59-lap race show Nigel Mansell 7.8 seconds, remember that figure, ahead of Michele Alboreto. Ayrton Senna in the active suspension Lotus Honda is in third place. In fourth place, there's the leader, is Riccardo Patrese. Fifth is Stefan Johansson, challenged very closely by Gerhard Berger, who has got seventh place man Theo Fabi on his tail. Eighth is Boutsen, ninth is Warwick. Now look at Mansell. Mansell actually has got a very comfortable cushion of 8.3 seconds. Look down the track. There is, or was rather, Michele Alboreto. And Alboreto needs some luck. There he is, the second of these two cars, behind the Minardi. And into the pits has come the Ferrari of Gerhard Berger. Lap 18 for the leader. At the end of lap 17, Gerhard Berger into the lead, into the pits. And I'll just look out of the window and see what's happening. Well, there's a lot of work on the car. There are no tires being... There you see it for yourself. You can see that it's not on the jack. It looks as though there is some mortal mechanical problem and that the car is going to be wheeled out of the race.
Yes, Nigel Mansell looking very assured up front, nice and steady. He's in a position to control the race from the front. We saw a bit of a challenge from Alboreto in chasing him just then. He started to close the gap, and it was interesting to see that Mansell just simply responded by going a little bit quicker. And very much as we'd expected, the experience he gained and the maturity and stature that he put on last year. We're hoping for tremendous things for Nigel Mansell this year. Proved last year that he's certainly well capable of delivering. And he has steadied the gap. In fact, is now increasing it very slightly over Alboreto, who we see coming into the picture now.
And as you look at the second place car, into the pits has come Teo Fabi, the little Italian in the Benetton, keeping the engine running whilst new set of Goodyear tires have been slapped onto the Ford-powered Benetton. Nigel Mansell is closing up to tail enders. As I've said many times before, if they don't move out of his way smartly, this will be the opportunity of the second place man, Michele Alboreto in the Ferrari, some 8.7 seconds behind him. That's the Benetton of Fabi, who's been here a long, long time. Out he goes, and that has done his position absolutely no good at all. Look at Mansell now. He is catching Philippe Alliot in the new Ralph Bellamy designed Lola with its Ford DFZ 3.5-litre engine to lap him. Race order, lap 19. Mansell, 8.7 seconds. There he is, on his way at the moment to his 8th Grand Prix victory, ahead of Michele Alboreto. Passing Philippe Alliot, who is in 16th place, and in third position in the 3.5-litre category. Alliot is leading the 3.5-litre category. It's still Jonathan Palmer, who's now up into 14th position. That is Alboreto, who is second.
Yes, and the 3.5-litre cars seem very, very evenly matched. That's all battling away in their own little race. And, of course, that augurs well for Grand Prix racing next year, when the whole field pretty much are going to be equipped with 3.5-litre powered cars. So Mansell controlling the race at the front, and that is Ivan Capelli just pulling in trouble in the brand new Leighton House March. The car was only finished, well, in the paddock here. They were still building it when they got here, and it seemed to work reasonably well for something that was straight out of the box.
Alboreto is dropping back, actually. Nigel Mansell is driving a masterly tactical race. It's Senna who's the interest at the moment. There he is in third position, and he is catching Michele Alboreto, who is second, and Alboreto is 9 seconds behind Mansell. We are on lap 20 out of 59. Ayrton Senna, I still think, can do well in this race. He's a masterly tactical driver, and the gap between him and Michele Alboreto is down to 2.9 seconds from nearly 4 seconds. So Senna is catching the Ferrari. In fourth place it is still Patrese, who is 17 seconds behind the leader. Fifth is Johansson, the only one of the McLaren tag cars left with the retirement of multiple San-Marino Grand Prix winner Alain Prost on lap 15. Gerhard Berger out in the Ferrari on lap 18. Capelli out in the 3.5-litre March on lap 19. There is the race order. You see Patrese is still fourth. Johansson in fifth position. Boutsen sixth. Derek Warwick is up to seventh now, with his teammate Eddie Cheever 4 seconds behind him in 8th place in the Arrows Megaton. They had a lot of troubles yesterday in practice, the Arrows team, and Jackie Oliver, the head man of McLaren, of Arrows, kept his mechanics working until 4 o'clock this morning, allowed them to go back to the hotel to get a change of clothing and a wash and brush up, and then they were back here, and it looks as though it's paying off, with Warwick in 7th place, just out of the points, Cheever in 8th position, De Cesaris is in 9th place, Martin Brundle is going much better in the new Zach speed than he did in practice. He's in 10th position. Cathy is in an absolutely superb at the moment, 11th place in the old, rather catty Osella with its V8 Alfa Romeo turbocharged engine. Matteo Farbi down to 12th on account of his pit stop. Christian Danner is 13th, and Jonathan Palmer, 1 lap behind, leads the 3.5 litre category in 14th place. And it's a very close thing between Palmer 14th, Streff 15th, Alio 16th. Up now, let's get you geographically on the course. They're going up from the Toso to the Piratella. Now they swing left and drop downhill at about 180 miles an hour. You look at the Brabham there of Patrese. That's Stefan Johansson, Steve Johnson in 5th position. Riccardo Patrese, number 7 in the Brabham BMW, through the Aqua Minerale, second gear, up into 3rd, 4th and 5th gear, 180 miles an hour towards the Variante Alta at the top. It's a right and left chicane. Confirmation of the positions, 5 Mansell in the lead, 27 Alboreto second, 12 Senna in 3rd place. The car you're looking at now, 7 Patrese in 4th place, followed by 2, the red and white McLaren of Johansson in 5th position. Boutsen is 7 seconds in 6th place behind Johansson, that you see go round the corner into the pits. Now Mansell into the pits. Stopwatch, go. This is lap 23 that Mansell is on into. This is going to be a steering pit stop. Magnificent. 8.64 seconds for Nigel Mansell to change his tyres and wheels on lap 22, and he just about get out in the lead. I think he'll still, no, he rejoins in 4th position. Now a Ferrari leads in Italy, and the Italian crowd are really going to go bananas when they see this. And Mansell is up with Stefan Johansson there, now in 4th place. Johansson in 4th position, and Mansell in 5th place, with Alboreto leading the San Marino Grand-Pri on lap 23 in the Ferrari, followed by Senna Patrese.
There's the Ferrari team ready with tyres for Alboreto to come in, so I looks as very much as they're expecting him in this lap. And once again, that was a marvellous tyre change by the Williams team, who over the last couple of seasons have proved that they are the top tyre changes. Now it'll be interesting to see how quickly Mansell can deal with Stefan Johansson. Remember, he's just out of the pits on cold tyres. It will take him another lap or so before his tyres are really working at their best. But of course the tyres will have been preheated with those electric blankets. Wrap around, and looks like Nigel's tyres are working already, because he's in very good position. He's close enough now to get the slipstream, particularly if he can afford to hit his boost button, which it certainly looks as if he's going to do. And there we go. And of course, with Patrese just in front of them, and I don't know why we've lost the interesting picture. I think the director's fallen asleep or something.
Well, incidentally, the fact that Mansell's going so well so quickly is another tribute to British innovation. It's British engineer Mike Drury from Burwood in Hampshire that's produced the electric blankets that keep the tyres hot when they're in the pits.
And that is now the battle for the lead, with Senna starting to press Alboreto. Remember, we've seen the Ferrari team ready with a new set of tyres, looking geared up as if they expect Michele in at any moment. Interestingly enough, it was quite an early pit stop, relatively speaking, that Mansell made at just over 1/3 distance. But they're not expecting to have any problems with wear or durability on the fresh set of tyres. And of course, the fuel load will be lighter, working them not as hard as they were at the beginning of the race. And there is Mansell, and he's not very far away at all from the leader. So Nigel Mansell stopped past Stefan Johansson.
Nigel Mansell is now 5.65 seconds behind Senna. Into the pit comes Stefan Johansson now, lap 24. Stefan Johansson in to change his tyres. He was in 4th position at the time. So 5th position, my apologies. So now it's still Michele Alboreto leading with in his wheel tracks the yellow Lotus Honda with the active suspension of Ayrton Senna. Nigel Mansell's fastest lap there of 1 minute 30 compares with the lap record of Nelson Piquet last year, 1 minute 28.6.
Yes, and that's a good bit quicker than anybody else has gone, and that shows what a nice fresh set of tyres can do for you. They're at their best when they're new, and then the performance slowly but steadily deteriorates. Senna starting to press Alboreto for the lead, but it is a little bit academic at the moment, because certainly we're expecting Alboreto to come in for tyres pretty soon, and I would think Senna, Senna declared before the race that he wanted to make a late tyre stop, but of course he'll be able to. And there, in goes Alboreto, so Senna left clear in the lead, but Nigel Mansell is coming up fast.
Now, here's the previous race leader, Michele Alboreto. Let's see how his hard stop time compares with 8.64 seconds, which was Nigel Mansell's. It's slower already, and he's lost 2 seconds with a time of 10 seconds. And Boutsen is into the pits, and you look at Mansell ahead of Patrese now.
Yes, Nigel Mansell up into second place. And I would suspect that with the speed we've seen from Mansell on fresh tyres, that the Lotus team ought to be looking very carefully at what Alboreto can do on fresh tyres, because it may well, I would have thought, having seen what they've done for Mansell, I would have thought that getting Senna in early, or earlier than they had originally planned, might be a sensible tactic. They do have the advantage of the information that they get from watching the other people who have already changed. They can afford to give it another 3 or 4 laps to have a look round, but then they might well want to change their decision.
As you look at Nigel Mansell, the race order on this, the 26th lap out of 59, so round about half distance, is Ayrton Senna in the Lotus Honda, is leading Nigel Mansell, that you are looking at as he goes round the Traguardo to complete the lap by 4.7 seconds. Riccardo Patrese, a magnificent third. Nelson Piquet in the top left corner of your screens. And in third position, still Patrese, and Derek Warwick is going extremely well. So it's Senna, Mansell, Patrese, and the gap between first and third is 6.5 seconds. That is the Englishman, 5-time Grand-Prix winner. Michele Alboreto has rejoined in 4th position, but he's 21 seconds behind the leader, 10 seconds ahead of 5th place man, Stefan Johansson. Derek Warwick is now in the points in his second drive for the Arrows Megatron team in 6th position. Thierry Boutsen is 7th. Andrea De Cesaris in the second Brabham, they're going much better than they ever did last season, is in 8th place. In the second Arrows Megatron is Eddie Cheever. And lapped are Dana Palmer, who is 14th and still leading the 3.5 litre category in the Tyrrell. Streff is 15th, Alio is 16th, both of them in 3.5 litre cars. Nakajima, who came into the pit for a long time ago after having failed to start on the actual start, came out on the third, when on everybody else's third lap, is behind the 3 litre cars. And Senna is now 4.4 seconds ahead as he comes into the pits, and Nigel Mansell retakes the lead on lap 27. The fastest time we've had for a pit stop, Nigel Mansell, 8.64 seconds. The Lotus team are usually extremely good, and look at that, 7.54 seconds, magnificent. I think that is the fastest pit stop we have ever had. One is certainly the quickest I can remember, and Nigel Mansell now leads.
Yes, I agree. I think that's a new world record in Grand-Prix racing for the speed of a tyre change. Fantastic effort by the Lotus team. So, Senna is back on the track. But we'll have to wait till he completes the next lap to see exactly what his situation will be. He rejoined in third place. Alboreto is not far away and could just pass him, so it looks very much as if their battle is going to be rejoined, and things look very good indeed now for Nigel Mansell.
And things are looking superb for Riccardo Patrese. I know that he has yet to come in, but nevertheless he's up into second position, only 3 seconds behind Nigel Mansell on lap 28. There's Patrese. That's the second place car, the Brabham BMW of Riccardo Patrese, who nearly won at Imola some years ago in his previous Brabham incarnation before he left and went to the Alfa Romeo team. He was leading in the closing stages, only to go off just after the Acqua Minerale, to the enormous delight of the crowd, because that let a Ferrari driven by Stefan Johansson back into the lead. But now it's Mansell leading. There he goes into the Traguardo, almost, he's going into the Ribazza. On from there to the Tamburello, the Rettifilo, and so on, which is where he is now, to Tosa, and then on to the Piratella. And Riccardo Patrese has actually got race leader Nigel Mansell on lap 29 in his sight. He's only 2.3 seconds behind him. Ayrton Senna is 14 seconds behind Patrese. Patrese, of course, has not changed his Goodyear tyres. That is Michele Alboreto in fourth position, 2 seconds behind. And into the Acqua Minerale goes the Italian in the Ferrari. Race order, lap 29, Nigel Mansell leading, Patrese second, Senna third, then Alboreto, Johansson, Warwick, and that's Senna in third place.
Yes, and getting him just in front of Michele Alboreto as opposed to just behind as he was before they both stopped is entirely courtesy of that tremendous pit stop by the Lotus team. They were some 3 seconds or so faster than the Ferrari team managed on Alboreto's car, and that was enough just to make that very important difference. Because remember earlier just how much of a struggle Alboreto had to find a way past Ayrton Senna, and it looks as if, courtesy of that tremendous pit work, he's faced with the same whole problem all over again.
Can I concentrate your thinking now on fuel consumption? Because I think the excitement of this race is yet to come. I remind you that in 1984, when Prost won, he ran out of petrol a few hundred yards after he'd crossed the line. In 1985, exactly the same thing happened, and he was disqualified because his car was underweight. Last year, Prost actually ran out of petrol before he crossed the line. We've seen Keke Rosberg run out of petrol in the closing stages. We've seen Ayrton Senna run out of petrol in the closing stages, and many others. Now, this race is being run at a pretty brisk pace, and it's over 59 laps, 195 litres of fuel. Getting the fuel readout right and your speed correct in relation to fuel consumption is going to be absolutely critical.
Yes, requires great self-restraint and self-control by the drivers to drive essentially to their fuel gauges rather than respond to people going quicker than them around. And as you rightly point out, this race has been pretty fast and furious so far, and a little bit of a hold up. Oh dear, there's a terrible mess going on there. Senna nearly getting tangled up. But he's away and through, and at the moment he's holding that gap to Michele Alboreto. These two have proved pretty evenly matched so far in this race. They battled all the way up to the pit stop time, and now the same battle has been rejoined.
And as you look at Michele Alboreto in fourth place with Senna ahead of him in the yellow Lotus in third, I will tell you that I suspect that Nigel Mansell is playing a cat and mouse, very tactical game with Riccardo Patrese, who he leads by 2.5 seconds. Mansell will know through his radio exactly what the position is. He knows he can keep ahead of Patrese. He's 18 seconds ahead of the Yellow Lotus of Senna in third place, with Alboreto fourth, Johansson fifth, Warwick sixth.
Yes, Nigel Mansell is quite clearly playing with his boost quite a lot, using different boost settings because his lap times are jumping up and down, and there's no way a driver of his quality will be performing at such widely varying speeds. By widely varying, I'm saying anything up to at least a little bit over 2 seconds a lap difference he's been going, so he, I think, is very much pacing himself to the others, and I'm quite sure is trying to get a little bit of extra fuel in hand by using as little as possible at this stage of the race, so that if anybody goes down a challenge to him near the end, he's got something up his sleeve to respond with.
Now, Senna, with Alboreto there are the two of them, third and fourth, is only closing the gap between himself and second place man Riccardo Patrese very, very slowly. It's still just under 18 seconds between the second and third place man. And Patrese is driving an absolutely masterly race as one of the Acellas. I'm sorry I didn't spot which one it was, is wheeled in, either Tarquini or Capi, the two Italian drivers. Nigel Mansell now on lap 32 out of 59, on his way, the Englishman, to his 8th Grand Prix victory, and if he wins here, he will take the lead in the World Championship, because although he only had 1 point from Brazil, Nelson Piquet, who was leading the championship on 9 points when this race started, is a non-starter. Senna and Alboreto third and fourth, and there's the pit signal in the background for Michele Alboreto.
Yes, the Brabham pit are finally getting prepared now for Riccardo Patrese to come in, and this would certainly be as late as he'd want to do it. We've just passed half distance in the race, so expect to see Patrese in at any moment.
Alio out of the race. Philippe Alio in the Lola on lap 33 retires from the San-Marino Grand Prix, or is he trying to... Oh no, he's not, he's trying to drive out again. I think Senna is going to have his tires cut out to finish as high up as he wanted to, because he's still got his tire change to make, and we are now on lap 33. Can't leave it very much longer. You lose about 30 seconds on a tire stop when you come in. And Alboreto there, third position, the gap between them. Senna, of course, I apologise, has been in. So it's Mansell leading. Patrese second. You can see the gap is only 1.8 seconds. Senna some 16 seconds behind Patrese. Down underneath the bridge into the Rivazza. And of course, and a big spin there from the AGS of Pascal Fabre, and that's what caused Alio's problem. You can see he had to take avoiding action at the Rivazza, as Fabre, who had caused all the problems in the 3.5-litre DFZ powered AGS car, went on. Alio went off, and I apologise to Ayrton Senna, of course, has not only been in and had his tyres changed, but did it in the steeringly fast time of 7.54 seconds. So he's in a good position. Michele Alboreto, too, changed his tyres, but 3 laps earlier. And the race order now on lap 33 in this 59-lap San Marino Grand Prix shows Nigel Mansell now inching away from Patrese, who is 2.9 seconds behind. Senna and Alboreto third and fourth, Johansson fifth, and Warwick sixth.
I'm sure that this is a mistake, really, a tactical error by the Brabham team and Riccardo Patrese between them to not have come in yet. Remember that one's got quite a wide choice of when one can stop the tyres in this race, but the he's not getting the best use of his second set of tyres because he's gone not just more than half distance in the race, but in effect more than that, because remember the car is a lot heavier in the first half of the race than it is for the second half. So the halfway point on the amount of work that the tyres have to do falls somewhere just after 1/3 distance of the race, or between 1/3 and 1/2. And Crazy really should come in now and get his second set of tyres on.
There he is, going round the corner ahead of Alex Cathy, and the man that you saw getting out of his car on the inset in the top left corner of your screens was Adrian Campos, the Spanish driver, retiring from the race in the Minardi. So Prost out, Berger out, Capelli out, Campos out. Race leader on lap 35, Nigel Mansell, 2.1 seconds ahead of Patrese, who has got to come in. There he is for tyres. And of course, there's no question of Patrese not being able to stop for tyres. He's in the 1.5-litre BMW turbo-powered car. Coming up to Christian Danner, the German in the Zaxby car, driving in last year's car, whereas Martin Brundle in this year's car. And it's Senna still third, just about 1.3 seconds ahead of Alboreto fourth, as Patrese is blocked by Danner, and Patrese will not be at all pleased about that, although heaven knows he's done it enough to people himself in the past. Senna third, Alboreto fourth. Knudsen is now in sixth position, ahead of Derek Warwick, who is therefore out of the points, and Mansell has completed 35 laps in this 59-lap race. He's now 4.5 seconds ahead of Patrese, and I think the reason for that was that Patrese was held up by Danner rather than that Mansell was sprinting away. But I say again, Nigel Mansell and his Williams team are controlling things magnificently, and in the process, with Senna, who is the real challenge to Nigel Mansell, given that Patrese has got to come in for tyres, now 17 seconds behind Mansell, and Mansell will be able to control things, play with his boost knob. Chetty Cesaris has now moved up into 7th position ahead of Warwick, and is this Patrese now coming into the pits shortly to change his tyres? He really can't afford to leave it much longer. He's on his 36th lap. And Peter Wall, of the Lotus team manager, was telling me that Senna might leave his tyre change until as late as the 40th lap. That was the latest they thought they could possibly do it. Well, as it happened, he came in on the 28th lap. But Patrese, therefore, must come in very shortly, in which case we can expect to see Senna move up to second, Alboreto to third, but Patrese certainly hasn't done it this lap.
Yes, and I just don't understand their thinking, but the Brabham team, Patrese's never been a great thinker, and I think they're really showing their lack of management. Brabham team have a new team manager in the form of Colin Seeley, but he is completely inexperienced in Grand-Prix racing. As Alboreto is now having a look, we're back to where we were quite early in this race, before pit stops. Alboreto trying to find a way down Ayrton Senna, battling for third place, but this could well become second place when Patrese goes for tyres.
Which he's not only not showing the slightest sign of doing, but the Brabham team aren't showing the slightest sign of getting ready to get him in, because I've just looked out of the window.
Well, it could be that they've out-fumbled everybody and are being very clever and trying to go the whole race on one set, and that, from a tyre wear problem, should be possible. And if they do that, if they can manage that, then Patrese looks set to possibly hang on to that second place. He'll probably struggle if he does go to in the closing laps with grip, as the tyres get a bit too tired. But it'll be interesting to see if that is what, in fact, the Brabham team are up to.
And I can only say in rather... There he comes. into the pits just to prove us wrong, and he will now lose not only second place but third place. Indeed, Senna goes past, and so does the Ferrari, and that I didn't time Patrese stop, but that looked like an incredibly quick one to me. But meantime, Patrese is in fourth position as he leaves the pit, and now on lap 38 out of 59, Nigel Mansell leads by 16 seconds. Ayrton Senna second. Alboreto third. There he is, right behind the Lotus. Patrese still in fourth position, ahead of Johansson by 5 seconds. Fifth.
And as the Lotus and the Ferrari went onto the brakes at the end of the long straight, you could just see Patrese appearing at the far end of it, so he's the length of the straight behind. And a new fastest lap there, set up this time by Stefan Johansson. So he's having a little bit of a go, and he was behind Patrese when he came out of the pits, but I think his momentum might well have carried him past him as Patrese has to warm up with his fresh set of tyres.
Mansell leads, Senna and Alboreto second and third. Here they are, closing up on the Acela in front of them. Patrese in fourth position. Johansson is in fifth place, 5 seconds behind Patrese. Sixth is Boutsen, seventh is De Cesaris. Derek Warwick is eighth, Farby is ninth, Cheever is 10th, Martin Brundle is in 11th place. Out of the Traguardo they come, up to the 145 mile an hour, across the line, up to the Tamburello, and Senna now is going to take the Acela on the left, followed by Alboreto third.
And in the background there, you saw that Johansson was right behind Patrese, but hadn't managed to get past him on the cold tyres. There they are, again, just in the background. And so Johansson is now climbing all over the back of Riccardo Patrese's Brabham.
And there is 24 seconds between race leader Nigel Mansell and the fifth place man Stefan Johansson on lap 39. The active suspension of Ayrton Senna's Lotus Honda, a new engine in the Lotus, a new suspension and a revolutionary, innovatory suspension system, which Lotus Engineering, as opposed to Team Lotus, are developing for General Motors to use on their road cars, for Chrysler and for other people. So you are really looking at an example of how racing develops better production cars for the future. Ayrton Senna calling on the radio exactly how his car is handling, what his tactics are. He comes up to Alio. That's where Alio went off previously. That's the Rivazza, third gear left-hander there. 155 miles an hour as they come up to the Variante Bassa, then into the Traguardo, the very tight right-hander that they've exited now.
And this is a chance for Alboreto to get right where he wants to be, very close to the Lotus. Really be in a position to get the slipstream past. He's perfectly placed. It has got to be a moment for Alboreto to make an assault on that second position. But the Lotus is very quick on the straight line, and he actually pulls away a little bit from the Ferrari, despite the fact that the Ferrari has got a nice hole in the air, created for it by the Lotus, but he still can't get on terms. So the Honda engine very powerful.
Well, that's De Cesaris in the inset there in the Brabham. He's come into his pit stop. But how marvellous it is to see Ferrari back in the frame again. They've had some dreadful racing years in the recent past with fine drivers like Michele Alboreto and Johansson last year out of the running. And this, I think, is the first time that the advent of ex-McLaren technical director John Barnard at Ferrari, where he has taken over the race team's leadership under Enzo Ferrari, is working the way Ferrari wanted it to. I know that John Barnard was under terrible pressure after Brazil because the Ferrari team hadn't had instant success. He's been working, and his team, at Guildford, where they have the Ferrari Research and Development Centre, very hard indeed to improve things, and it looks as though it's paying off, although we can't really expect the Barnard expertise to sharpen till his car for 1988 appears. And it's Senna second, Alboreto third, Mansell leading now by 18 seconds on lap 41.
Yes, Barnard's still a little bit frustrated. He's waiting for various new bits and pieces that he wants to put on the Ferrari to be made, and they won't be ready for probably a couple more races, or not ready and tested. So he's having to chip away at getting the Ferrari package, that's the chassis, the engine and gearbox, as he wants them, and it will be a slow evolutionary process, and I would think the job won't be in any way completed, or even the first phase, until halfway through the season.
Meantime, Jonathan Palmer is still leading the 3.5 litre race, 1 lap behind the race leaders, and that is De Cesaris off the course again and out of the race now. Andrea De Crasheris, as he's known in Grand Prix circles, has retired from the San Marino Grand Prix on lap 40 off the course. And now on lap 41, Nigel Mansell in the Williams Honda leads Ayrton Senna by 18 seconds. Senna, as you can see there, has got Alboreto right behind him in 3rd place. Riccardo Patrese holding on to his 4th position, only just ahead of the McLaren tag of Stefan Johansson 5th. Up into 6th place has come Thierry Boutsen. 7th is Derek Warwick. 8th is Theo Fabi in the 2nd peloton. 9th was De Cesaris out of the race now, which means to say that Chiva moves up to 9th and Martin Brundle to 10th, as Senna takes the AGS of Fabre, followed by Michele Alboreto, and this could be Alboreto's chance to challenge for 2nd.
Yes, this pretty fraught battle for 2nd and 3rd, but the battle for 4th and 5th is also extremely fraught. That's Eddie Chiva being lapped, and he's just held up Alboreto there. Alboreto will be anxious to get back to battle, but the 4th and 5th place battle is not only raging amongst themselves, but they are not very far behind this battle for 2nd place. And still Alboreto can't find his way past, finally sorted it out, and that has enabled the 4th and 5th battle to catch up, to get closer. You saw the Brabham and the McLaren, there they are, and so we're in a few minutes, it looks as if we may well have a 4-car battle for 2nd place. Tremendous stuff. Remember, Nigel Mansell, it's easy to forget him because he sailed serenely on up front, keeping the gap at around 18 seconds, which he's managed to do very consistently for some little while now. And there goes the battle, the 4th and 5th right behind, and Johansson trying to get down the inside, but Patrese's been shutting the door pretty effectively there for a couple of laps now.
Senna 2nd, Alboreto 3rd, Patrese in 4th place, Johansson in 5th place, and very little between it. There's Patrese really driving a magnificent race, and the John Baldwin, David North, Sergio Ridley, and up into 2nd place goes Michele Alboreto by magnificently out-fumbling Senna, and Senna put off his line, allows Patrese to close right up behind him, and the crowd roars. Look at this replay.
Yes, and he caught Senna napping there. That's a lot like Ayrton Senna, and a very good piece of driving indeed by Michele Alboreto. He can't do anything about this superior straight-line speed of the Lotus on the long straight, the normal passing place on this circuit. Been unable to do it. He had to think of something just a little bit different to do, and he managed to, I think, Patrese now right up behind Senna, and he managed to lull Senna into full sense of security and whip alongside him before Senna could really respond, and Senna was forced to move off the line and give best to Alboreto. Fine piece of driving.
Patrese through! Incredible! 1.6 seconds between Alboreto and Patrese, and into the pits has come Johansson again and look at Patrese challenging now, and he goes past Alboreto. What a fantastic bit of driving. Patrese moves up from 4th to 2nd in about 400 yards, and Johansson is in the pits.
Johansson in trouble, but I get the feeling also that maybe Senna's got a little bit of brake trouble. The brakes may be just struggling a bit because, remember, this is a very hard circuit on brakes, and Alboreto managed to outbrake him now, followed smartly by Patrese, who's having a tremendous afternoon. He's driving magnificently.
This is not McLaren's afternoon. Alain Prost retires on lap 15, and Stefan Johansson on lap 44 comes in for a strictly unscheduled pit stop. I was looking out of the window, but to be honest, I couldn't see what was happening. But I can tell you that now Riccardo Patrese in second place has not only got past Senna and Alboreto, he is amazingly pulling away. And as I was in the midst of telling you, this John Baldwin, Sergio Rinland and David North designed car in only its second race is bringing Brabham back to the front, and that is a magnificent sight too. We've got Ferrari back in the frame with Alboreto. We've got Brabham back in the frame with Riccardo Patrese, and Nelson Piquet, of course, who made Brabham's reputation with his 2 world championships, is watching this race from his position of an ex-Williams driver for this race. And it's Patrese second, Alboreto in the Ferrari third, Senna in fourth position. Mansell is increasing his lead. The producer, understandably, there is the confirmation, is not letting us see much of Nigel Mansell because of this tremendous scrap going on for second, third and fourth places. But meantime, Nigel Mansell is calmly controlling the race from the front, with Frank Williams, who is doing his team engineering from his wheelchair. Frank Williams, who had that dreadful accident in France at the beginning of the season, as a result of which he's confined to a wheelchair, is back in Grand-Prix racing with a vengeance himself, appearing at the races as he did at Brazil, and he is doing the team engineering for Nigel Mansell's car. Patrick Head does it for Nelson Piquet's, and between the two of them and the radio, Nigel Mansell and Frank Williams are doing a superb job. Lap 46 now. Nigel Mansell has gone through to complete the lap. He's now 21 seconds ahead of Riccardo Patrese, with Alboreto on the right of your screen in third position. In the yellow Lotus, Ayrton Senna from Brazil in fourth place. Thierry Boutsen is some 21 seconds in fifth place behind Senna, who is fourth, ahead of his teammate Theo Fabi in sixth position. So both the Benettons are in the top 6 point scoring places, which will be helpful to them in the Constructors' Championship. Derek Warwick in the Arrows Megatron is in 7th place. Johansson, in spite of his pit stop, is 8th. Eddie Cheever in the second Arrows Megatron is in 9th position. Martin Brundle is still 10th. Cathy is 11th. Dana is 12th. They're all 1 lap down. And Jonathan Palmer, also a mere 1 lap down in the 3.5 litre Tyrrell on Ken Tyrrell's birthday, is leading that category, 3.5 litre, in 14th place, and he led the World Championship in that category when this race started, so he's increasing his lead. Jonathan Palmer, that is, in the 3.5 litre class. Lap 46, 59-lap race. There's Patrese. Look at the gap he's pulled out over third place man Alboreto. So an Englishman in the Williams Honda leads, an Italian in the Brabham BMW second, an Italian Alboreto in the Ferrari in third position, a Brazilian Ayrton Senna in fourth place. And there are the third and fourth place men. Brown from the Arianta Bassa, second gear Traguardo, and that is the Ferrari team in the inset, getting ready to change tyres for somebody. So it must therefore be Alboreto, with Berger out of the race a long time ago, which surprises me. Michele Alboreto came in on lap 25 to do a 10.84 second pit stop.
Well, these two battle on. Riccardo Patrese is currently the quickest man on the circuit and started to chip away at Nigel Mansell's lead, but at the same time I don't think Mansell will be worrying yet. I think that he's got quite a lot in hand and is controlling this race from the front without any problems at all.
So you look at the exit from the Acqua Minerale, climbing up. Right-hander here, down into second gear, the left-hander. Now they start to drop downhill to the Rivazza, this double apex, second and third gear, left-hander. 95 miles an hour for this bit, accelerate up towards about 120 miles an hour. Now up to 155 miles an hour, fifth gear. As they sweep down, take third gear here. Second gear for the tight right-hander that they're approaching. There's Patrese going through second, Alboreto going through third, Senna going through fourth. They are now on their 48th lap, the first four men, Mansell, Patrese, Alboreto and Senna, with 23 seconds between the first and fourth.
And sure enough, as we suspected, Mansell is clearly controlling this race from the front, because he has just put a stop to Patrese's progress by sticking in a nice quick lap, about a second quicker than he had been doing. I'm sure he's been conserving fuel and there's plenty left to respond with, and I also suspect that Patrese is going to have to come back on his boost a little bit now.
Lap 48, race order. Nigel Mansell leads, 18 seconds ahead of Patrese second, who is 3 seconds or less ahead of Alboreto third there. Senna fourth in the yellow Lotus. There's Patrese, there's Alboreto, there is Senna, in respectively the Brabham, Ferrari and Lotus. Fifth position, Boutsen, Benetton. Sixth position, Harvey, Benetton. Seventh, Warwick, Arrows, Megatron. Eighth, Johansson in the McLaren tag. Ninth, Cheever, both Arrows in the top 9 places. 10th, Brundle in the Zakspeed. 11th, Cappy, still going in the Osella, which is not something that I expected at this stage of the race. 12th is Dana, 13th is Nakajima, 14th, 2 laps down. Jonathan Palmer leading the 3.5 litre race. His teammate Streff is 15th, Alio is 16th, Marbre in the AGS 5 laps down is 17th. And the fastest man on the course now is Teo Fabi, who has just gone round in 1 minute 29.8.
And Senna has managed to get back past Alboreto, so this race-long duel continues. He got close enough behind him as they got onto the straight to take the slingshot, and Riccardo Patrese is no longer getting away from them, so we could still see a three-way fight for second place. They're not very far at all behind Patrese, who I think has had to come back off his boost a little bit, and Fabi continues to lap very quickly indeed, and of course he's chasing Thierry Boutsen. He's some 8 seconds behind him at the moment, and there we see it again, just straightforward slipstream pass. So tremendous battle by these two.
Yes, and I wonder, I think it's little doubt that the way Senna's going, he will catch Riccardo Patrese and keep ahead of Michele Alboreto, who had out-fumbled the Brazilian at the Acqua Minerale some previous laps in order to move up a place. And I'm expecting Senna to take second place. There is Patrese, and the gap with Senna being held up by, it looks like it's the Tyrrell outstrapped, and the gap was between Senna and Patrese 2.5 seconds, so Senna is definitely catching him, and he's taking Alboreto with him.
Yes, you can clearly see the superior straight line speed there of Senna's Lotus, because although Alboreto was perfectly placed to get a toe on the straight, the Lotus visibly pulled away. There is Patrese. You could just see the yellow nose of the Lotus. So, a three-cornered fight for second place now developing.
With Boutsen in the inset in the pits, the gap between Patrese and Senna is down to 1.9 seconds. So Senna has taken half a second out of second place man Patrese's lead, and there he's right up with him now. There's the Brabham BMW. There goes Senna. Alboreto keeping a watching brief behind the yellow Lotus, and still Nigel Mansell out on his own, 20 seconds ahead of this battle, and Johansson now the fastest man on the course.
Saw a little puff of smoke then from Senna's front wheel, just lightly locked his left front brake. No problem at all, that doesn't really interfere with the balance of the car. And Riccardo Patrese in trouble. Patrese slowed right down. It looks very much as if his engine had cut out, so it looks as if his tremendous afternoon's work is coming to a premature end.
Now, this is the exciting bit of the San-Marino Grand-Prix. I suspect that Riccardo Patrese was the first driver to run out of fuel, in which case it was a pretty bad miscalculation, because this is lap 51. There he is, and he's going. Maybe the fuel has picked up, he's flung the car about, and he goes round the side of one of the Data General Tyrrells there, which is pulling off the course to retire. I can't see whether it's Streff or his teammate Jonathan Palmer. It was Streff. But now, anyway, Mansell leads by 23 seconds, Senna second, Alboreto third, and Fabi moves up to fourth place with Johansson fifth.
It certainly looks as if Patrese is out of fuel. The car is behaving as such, and there's Philippe Streff. Sorry, it's Jonathan Palmer, in fact, getting out of his Tyrrell. We couldn't see what was wrong with him, but that's the end of his day's work.
That means to say, of course, that Streff moves into the lead in the 3.5 litre category. Boutsen's car, incidentally, was pushed into the pit, so it looks as though the Benetton is in trouble. It does not look as though Senna is in trouble, but certainly neither he nor Alboreto are making any gain on Nigel Mansell. There is the confirmation, 23.7 seconds between race leader Nigel Mansell on lap 52 out of 59. So Nigel Mansell has only got 7 laps between himself and his 8th Grand Prix victory, which would put him into the World Championship lead. Fabi up into 4th place behind Alboreto 3rd, Senna that you're looking at in 2nd, who is pulling away from the Ferrari, and Fabi is the fastest man on the course, but he's 22 seconds behind 3rd place, and he's smoking. It looks as though the Benetton's race is run. That looks like turbo trouble for the Ford V6 engine, which powers the Benetton, and in that case, Johansson will move up. And we're on lap 52 with Nigel Mansell in the Williams Honda, who has dominated this race with a capital D, leading Senna and Alboreto there in 3rd place.
Yes, Stefan Johansson really benefiting, because although he was still behind Patrese when they crossed the start-finish line this time, Patrese is definitely in trouble, and looks like Johansson's going to get another useful points-picking-up drive, and there could well be more problems between now and the end, but he certainly looks set for 4th place if he's looked after his fuel properly.
You see there Senna and Alboreto, 2nd and 3rd on lap 53, passing the AGS of Pascal Fabre, the ex-Formula 3000 French driver, moved up into Grand Prix Formula 1 racing, past Jonathan Palmer's Tyrrell, and Palmer, who is leading the Jim Clark Trophy, which effectively is the World Championship for 3.5 litre drivers, will not get any points in this race because he's failed to finish, whereas his teammate Philippe Streff is now in 12th position, 2 laps behind the leader, as up the hill goes Alboreto, and into the pits comes Fabi. Teo Fabi is into the pits in the Benetton. There he is, and out of the race in the Benetton. Teo Fabi retires in the Benetton Ford as a result, obviously, of that turbo trouble on lap 53, and that moves Stefan Johansson up into 4th place, notwithstanding his long 2nd pit stop. Senna and Alboreto there into the Traguardo at the end of their 50 third lap across the line. Mansell now is leading Ayrton Senna by 22.5 seconds, and Mansell is on his 54th lap. Of course, this race failed to start when it was supposed to, as a result of which they had to do an extra parade lap to get the race going, as a result of which the race distance was moved down from 60 laps to 59 laps, but fuel consumption will still remain marginal. They're still having to do the same distance as they were originally intended to do, even though they've had an aborted start. And on the 54th lap now, Nigel Mansell should be perfectly all right, because he has been in such a strong position in the lead that he will have been able to turn the boost down from that critical maximum, which these days is supposed to be 4 atmospheres. But effectively, there is Mansell. We haven't seen him for a long time. The leader coming through now to complete his 54th lap. Follow the bouncing ball, the blue one of Nigel Mansell as he goes across the line and up towards the Tamburello, which is a 180-mile-an-hour corner. The right sweep that he's approaching now is where Nelson Piquet went off on Friday, and Mansell's doing about 200 miles an hour as he approaches that right sweep. Comes down to second gear for the Tosa corner, and there is Ayrton Senna in second position, 22 seconds behind Nigel Mansell. Nakajima, that was Nakajima. I thought that didn't look like 22 seconds, but Nigel Mansell now is dropping down from the Piratella to the Acqua Minerale, the right, left, right. Now the climb up towards the Variante Alta at some 180 miles an hour. It's difficult to communicate just how incredibly fast these cars are going. And Derek Warwick is doing well. He is up into 5th position, albeit 1 lap adrift. Mansell leading on lap 55 out of 59. Senna is 19 seconds behind, so he's gaining, but it's undoubtedly because Mansell is easing up rather than that Senna is gaining through extra speed. Alboreto is 3rd, Johansson is 4th, Warwick is 5th, Patrese is 6th, and Brundle is in 7th place.
And looking like he's going to move up into the points, because Patrese is only limping round, his car stricken. So we'll keep our fingers crossed to get Martin Brundle into the points.
A clear circuit. And now you see Senna completing his 55th lap, 18.7 seconds, 4 laps to go. And Nigel Mansell certainly won't be allowing himself to relax yet. Not until the run-down lap will he do that. But what a magnificent race this Englishman has driven, as he always does these days. That, by the way, is Christian Danner, who is in 10th position. Both Bazak speeds still running. Michele Alboreto there, chasing Ayrton Senna. And the Osella goes through. That's Danner. And Danner is about to be caught and lapped by the 3rd place man. Danner, who's 10th, is being caught by the Scarlet Ferrari of Michele Alboreto. And Alboreto is some 50 seconds now ahead of Stefan Johansson, who is 4th. Derek Warwick is going to get his first World Championship point since he drove for the Renault team the year before last and the year before that. And it's wonderful to see this very gritty Englishman back in contention again. And the Arrows team, with their Megatron engines, which they're now sharing with the Ligier team, have got the funds to develop it. Ligier are going to be developing the electronics, and the Arrows team are going to be developing the cams and various other things, and jointly they hope to have a very competitive engine soon. And Warwick is proving that in his 5th place at the present moment. Mansell is on lap 57, so he's got this lap and 2 laps to go as Alboreto crosses the line, with Senna in front of him, 10 seconds ahead of him now. So the positions look established, but we still have the fuel consumption bogey to consider, because it was in the closing yards of previous races that people have run out.
Yes, and I think that's why Alboreto has backed off the chase of Senna for the moment, probably to look after his fuel a bit. He's lapping a good bit further than he has been. I would have thought Senna might have taken the opportunity to slow it down a little bit. But Alboreto, obviously, probably the sensible thing, and that is the arrows. I hope that's not Warwick.
And he's weaving to try and just get some fuel up into the car, but he has into the injection. But whoever it was, and I'm sorry, as James says, you can't tell from behind who it is, and we will have to wait until our lap chart tells us whether it was Warwick or Eddie Cheever. I do hope I haven't spoken too soon in saying that Warwick was going to come home in 5th place. But anyway, Nigel Mansell now is on his last lap but one, and I can just imagine, as you look at Senna in 2nd position, the dialogue going on between Nigel Mansell with Grundle moving up into 6th place and Frank Williams, because the Honda engineers have got the most incredible telemetry in the pits, and they know exactly what the engine is doing, exactly what the fuel consumption is. Nigel Mansell will be watching his fuel readout and reporting the situation. Frank Williams will be comparing notes, and I have little doubt now that with Mansell only having about 4 to 4.5 miles to go, as you look at Ayrton Senna 20 seconds and more behind him in 2nd place, that Mansell, there he is, there is the race leader, very soon to be starting his last lap, his 59th lap, which is all that separates him between victory in his 8th Grand Prix, and I'm sorry, desperately sorry to tell you that it was Derek Warwick retiring on lap 57 from that point-scoring position. What bitter tragedy. Things do not seem to be going well for Derek, and Martin Brundle, as a result of that, with at least we have the consolation as Nigel Mansell starts his last lap of knowing that an Englishman in 5th place has at least been replaced by another Englishman, Martin Brundle, in the Zach Speed, and this will be the first World Championship point that Zach Speed have ever scored.
Yes, as Mansell goes steadily round, he's had a magnificent drive, done everything right, really, but of course the only 2 people who could really have challenged him were, well, BK didn't even start the race. There's a little drop of rain coming down now, but probably not enough to trouble anybody at this stage in the race. But Nelson BK, of course, that bad accident on Friday, unable to drive today, and then Alain Prost, who was certainly giving Nigel a run for his money, going out on lap 15. After that, it's been pretty plain sailing, if you can ever call driving a Grand Prix car that. But he's controlled the race very well from the front, obviously used his boost quite a lot up and down. We could see that in the lap times, but always being able to cover any move from behind and never really under threat. Tremendous drive by Mansell.
Yes, Nigel Mansell almost home to win brilliantly his 8th Grand Prix, and in the process to take the lead in the 1987 World Championship far earlier than he did in 1986 when it was about halfway through the season. He comes now down into the Variante Bassa, into the Traguardo. He can see the checkered flag. Nigel Mansell, Williams Honda, crosses the line and takes the checkered flag to win the San-Marino Grand Prix. Now we wait for Ayrton Senna to come through as the marshals wave their flags of congratulations at the Englishman. What a wonderful race Mansell's driven. Here is Ayrton Senna coming home in 2nd place to score his first World Championship points of 1987. Goes across the line very slowly. He is running out of fuel. Senna's just made it, though. Alain Prost will still be in 2nd position in the World Championship. We're still waiting for Alboreto to come home in 3rd position, and there he is. The Ferrari finishes in 3rd place. And so, as ever, subject to official confirmation, with Alboreto waving a relieved hand at last to be back in the points for Ferrari, and it'll be a very happy John Barnard too, It's victory for Nigel Mansell at San Marino and Imola. And Nakajima has run out of fuel and were on the last lap. Senna second, Alboreto third, Johansson fourth, Martin Brundle fifth, so English drivers in first and fifth places. Nakajima was going to be in sixth place, but I suspect that Dana may have moved up in the closing stages. And there is, I'm just trying to see who it is. It looks like Ginzani that Nigel Mansell is giving a lift home. But Nigel Mansell undoubtedly leads the World Championship from Alain Prost and Stefan Johansson, and the victory in the San Marino Grand Prix went to Mansell, with Senna second, Alboreto third, Johansson fourth, Brundle fifth, and subject to confirmation, Nakajima sixth.
Now then, you made it look terribly easy, but I'm sure it wasn't. What problems were you having?
It wasn't easy because, as you probably saw on television in the beginning, one of the back markers almost took me out of the race, and then Alain Prost. I had a wheel weight come off the tyres, which put it out of balance, and I had to pit early in the race. And then it was just a question of pushing as hard as I could.
What about fuel consumption? Were you watching the gauge very carefully?
Yeah, I've started to learn how to play a piano, because up and down, but I'm very pleased. We've got a good result, and it's a great result for the team.
But I think we've got to say commiserations there to Derek Warwick, who just failed to get a point. So Nigel Mansell then leads the World Drivers' Championship, one ahead of Alain Prost, who didn't finish today. But it's early days yet, of course, with Johansson, Senna, Piquet and Alboreto occupying the other places. The next Grand Prix, by the way, is in 2 weeks, the Belgian, and you can see that on Grandstand on May the 17th.